Imagine a future where local producers have fewer restrictions on selling homemade food and farm products directly from their communities. That's what Oklahoma SB 939 aims to do, but it
We've
needs our
handed over
voice
our
to
food
succeed.
security to someone else, and they're here to help you take it back. It's the Farm to Table Direct Show with Ryan and Keith.
Hello, everyone. This is Keith with the Farm to Table Direct Show. And well, I would say that my brother Ryan's here, but he's running a teeny bit behind. But as a consolation prize, we do have Dakota in the house with us tonight, aka Mr. P, and we're happy to have him. And we're happy to have everybody in here. Whoa. So anyway, we want to say hello to everybody over there in chat. I can see some of our crew is beginning to show up. Hello, Scotty. Hello, Robbie. And of course, hello, Rebecca, that I had just said hello to a little bit earlier. But I just want to remind everybody that this is an open chat event. And of course, you can make the show or break it with a single comment. Run this thing off the rails or become the star of the show. So anyway, tonight we are talking about Oklahoma SB 939. And I think it's really important. And we need people to understand what it is. Most people don't even know about it. The people that I have talked to that I would think that would be in the know about this legislation coming about simply said, no, I hadn't heard of it, but I'll check it out. So tonight, that's what we're here for. We're going to check it out. We are going to break it down. And before we get started with that, we're going to share a little bit of story about Amos Miller. And you guys may have heard of the case. Done quite a bit of research on Amos. And anyway, I'm just going to let this story speak for itself. Go ahead there, Dakota.
Amos Miller runs Miller's Organic Farm in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. No cell phone, no electricity, no modern conveniences. His farm is a snapshot of another time. A time when milk was raw, butter was churned by hand, and cows were called by name, not tagged with numbers. For Amos, farming is a spiritual practice. It's how he feeds his family. And as it turns out, a devoted group of 4,000 private members scattered across the country. These members aren't just customers, they're food purists. They seek out Amos's raw milk, grass-fed meats, and unprocessed products because they want food untouched by modern industrial processes. For them, Miller's Organic Farm represents something rare, food as it once was. I never advertise, Amos says. People just find me. For years, it worked. His farm operated as a private membership association, selling directly to people who knew what they were getting and believed in it wholeheartedly. No middlemen, no grocery stores, just Amos and his members. But that autonomy came at a price. Long before 2016 listeriosis outbreak, Amos Miller's farm had already caught the USDA's attention. In 2013, the U.S. Department of Agriculture's National Organic Program launched an investigation questioning the farm's use of the term organic without official certification. While the word organic might seem harmless, it's a tightly regulated label. If you use it without certification, you're violating federal law. By 2015, things escalated. The USDA's Food and Safety Inspection Service demanded access to inspect Miller's meat production practices, specifically focusing on his slaughtering process, which they argued didn't meet federal standards. Miller resisted. He believed that because he sold only to private members, the rules shouldn't apply to him. And then things got more serious. The USDA subpoenaed his customers' purchase records. Miller refused. He believed his members had a right to privacy. It was a dangerous standoff. Federal inspectors were circling, and the farm was under constant scrutiny. They want to turn small farms into big business, Amos said back then. In 2016, things reached a boiling point. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention linked 2 cases of listeriosis, a potentially deadly bacterial infection, to raw milk from Miller's Organic Farm. One of the patients, a 73-year-old woman from Florida, died. The CDC's whole genome sequencing showed that the Listeria monocytogenes found in Amos raw chocolate milk was closely related genetically to the strain that made these two people sick. For the USDA, this was clear evidence. Listeria is no joke, especially for the elderly, pregnant women, and people with compromised immune systems. The agency stepped in quickly, issuing an injunction and ordering Amos to stop selling raw dairy products until he complied with federal food safety regulations. But Amos didn't see it that way. To him, the evidence was thin. Closely related genetically didn't mean exact match. And the woman who died? She was undergoing intensive chemotherapy for late-stage cancer. Could the Listeria have come from another source? Possibly. But once the USDA connects the dots, it's hard to argue your way out of it. Over the next few years, the legal battle grew more intense. In 2019, Amos was found in contempt of court for continuing to sell raw milk products without following federal food safety rules. He was hit with a $250,000 fine, which only added fuel to his argument that small farmers like him being targeted unfairly. Amos's case became a rallying cry for the food freedom movement. Supporters flooded social media with stories about government overstepping its bounds. Fundraisers popped up to help him cover his legal costs. And at the heart of it all was one question. Is this about food safety or is it about control? What's really at stake? Let's be clear. Public health matters. The USDA's job is to protect consumers from dangerous pathogens. No one wants another outbreak of foodborne illness, but the question isn't whether safety matters, which it does. The question is how far we go in regulating small, independent producers. Amos's supporters argue that consumers should have the right to make their own decisions. After all, we're allowed to buy cigarettes, alcohol, and sugary processed foods, all things that carry known risks. Why can't we buy raw milk from a farmer we trust? The food freedom movement believes this is bigger than Amos Miller. It's about the future of local food, small farming, and personal choice. If the small farmers are regulated out of existence, what does that mean for the future of food? For now, Amos' future is uncertain. The USDA is still watching, still enforcing. The legal battle continues. But this case is about more than just one farm in Lancaster County. It's a test case for the balance between public health and personal freedom, between safety and sovereignty. People should have the right to decide what they eat. Amos says, I just want to keep farming the way we've always done it. The courts may have the final say, but the debate isn't going away anytime soon. Not for Amos, not for his customers, and not for anyone who believes in the right to choose where their food comes from. Amos' story asks us to think about the kind of food system we want. It's not a question of black and white. It's a question of balance. At what point does regulation protect us? And at what point does it start chipping away at our freedom?
So there you have it, and welcome in, bro.
Yeah, glad to be here. Sorry, I was running just a wee bit behind.
That's okay. We made it just fine.
That's right.
But
Good
we're
evening,
happy to have you
everybody.
back.
Yeah.
And so this kind of points out the problem, and I kind of want to go into what the current condition of Oklahoma is. What are the current regulations and restrictions and barriers that we see to our food freedom? And that is, of course, talking about, sourcing food where we want to source it, buying from people that we trust, and and to start off with, I'm going to name a couple of things as to that are our barriers right now. And well, if I would get on the right page, I might be able to know exactly where we're at. But anyway, we're going to explain SB 939 in simple terms, expanding sales opportunities for homemade food, ungraded milk, and ungraded eggs. Right now, we're limited in our sales channel for homemade food. Restrictions on transporting and advertising raw milk and farm products. We have complex regulations preventing small producers from growing their businesses. And so right now, these barriers make it harder for small producers to thrive. But Oklahoma SB 939 removes some of these restrictions and opens up new possibility. So just going to read right here what Tracy is saying with the garden kitchen with Tracy. Crazy stuff. That is why my city says no chickens. People got sick, they said. Ridiculous. Right. And listen, people have been getting sick and catching things and that. But during my research with this case with Amos Miller, one of the things that became clear is that that the USDA and the CDC left out information like parts per million of listeria. And this, the reason that this is important is because you have to know the parts per million, because listeria basically survives all around us. But it depends on how much we get. And so they didn't say that. They just said that there was something that was very close to resemble the listeria that was there, but no parts per million. And that's what his expert came in and said, that they didn't really tell you how much listeria was existing or where it was existing necessarily. So these are some of the barriers, that Oklahoma is facing, and I'm not talking about just listeria here, but the barriers about accessing, or making our farmers' food accessible to us. But let's roll into some of the solutions. Are you with me there, bro?
I am. Sorry, I was looking up some other stuff. I just, well, no, yeah. I'm reading because getting in late, unfortunately, means I got to grab stuff on the fly. But
right.
No, the conversation about listeria and that other big word, excuse me, and back in 2024, there were several outbreaks of listeria throughout the country. And they were all that made the headlines that I looked up were all in factories. They were processing. They were all in large, facilities and that type of thing. And so that it just goes to show you that even though all those regulations there and there's USDA inspectors on site in these places, that doesn't mean it can't, that doesn't exempt them. In fact, they got the watchdogs right there in the building, and it still happens. Mm-hmm. And I've said before, I trust that local guy that I can go see, where his livelihood depends completely upon his reputation and his name and how good of a product he serves, versus a corporate where all kinds of things get missed all the time. No matter how many eyes are on it, there's too many hands touching it. There's too big of a process, and you got chlorine and all these other cleaners, and you got all this stuff, refrigeration units, and et cetera, that all just lead to problems. So I just think that, I've always said that, going forward, the local producer and the local food supply chain is really where the safety is probably truly at.
So I want to go ahead and get into Oklahoma SB 939. And I'm not sure exactly what happened yesterday. I should have reached out to Brian probably to see where they were at in the process. Right. But when I read through it, and I kind of want to go through that right now and kind of hit it and let you know that it expands sales opportunities for homemade food beyond farmers. So in other words, if you happen to be running, a kitchen and you want to sell, bake cookies or whatever,
right.
It does expand that, and it allows sales at retail locations, home delivery, and online.
Right. Which
home
is, you know,
delivery and online,
and that
which
was a big
is
part. Yeah.
a big deal, right?
Right. And you know, being able to have a third party transport of things, or to meet places that, you know, before you had to be on farm, no advertisement, and this is going to open that door to, you know, advertising, but being able to sell at places, you know, that are more friendly, you know, to people being able to get these products and find out they're out there. I mean, so,
Right. And just imagine that you've got raw milk and you produce enough that you can sell a few gallons of that. Well,
right,
people can't find you except through word of mouth.
right, and that,
As the way it currently stands right now, you're not allowed to. I mean, I don't know how strict it is,
right,
but you know, you may not even be able to say, "Hey, I have 3 dairy cows," or even imply that you might have some dairy that we milk once a day. You know,
right,
and that's not saying I have it for sale, but it tells people, and you know, I'm not sure, you know, how strict that they would get with that, but I
right,
have known other regulators to be extremely um, strict. And
right,
and the reason that I say that is I happen to know personally of a particular company that started up, and their competition was on a board.
right,
Guess which board? They were on the board that had to do with the kind of business that he was on, and so they basically caused as much trouble as they could and cost them as much
right.
money as they could in order to make it to where that they couldn't open up. Now, Lisa Grieve says Oklahomans for Health and Parental Rights supports this bill. Amen.
That's
Thank you
right.
for that, Lisa, and I'm glad to hear that. We should all get on board. And I want to say that the homestead community is large. It's a very large, and we have a large voice.
Oh
And
yeah.
if we just realize it and we get the information out to people about
Right.
this bill, I think if we, take some action right here, that we could have an effect. And you know, this may be, we may make it this time, or we may not. But we shouldn't give up. We should continue, and we should, you know, fight to get a little bit more food freedom.
Right. And I
And
mean, that's, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, there we go. I was looking for something. And you know, I may never consume raw milk. I don't know. I might, if it's in front of me or if the opportunity presents. I mean, it may do better for me because I'm not a milk drinker by natural, you know, inclination. Primarily because most of the milk I've drank has been through that process, and there's something in there that it just don't agree with me, and so I just never, you know, really. If it's in an ingredient, now it's in a bowl of cereal, that kind of thing, you know, okay, fine, but you know, but I want everybody out there to have that choice as an informed end user, as the language states, and so it is, you know, kind of a tricky deal there. You know, you want people to have that freedom and you want them to be able to do that. And, you know, that is, how's the best way to put this? If that if two consenting adults and that end user understands and they take that, but that comes to personal responsibility, and we've got to have that. A lot going over on in the chat. I'm trying to keep up with it all.
yeah. You know, David Lacey was saying that in the state of Oklahoma right now, we can't sell raw milk unless it is disclosed that it is not for human consumption. Now, I'm not sure about that. I kind of think that we can, but it just has to be incidental sales, meaning to say that they can't buy it except for going to the farm to pick it up and purchase it. Okay. That's what I understood about it. But this SB 939 lifts that restriction, and I'm just going to go on here a little bit and talk about some of the other things that it addresses, and it would be amazing if we could get this through. But before, we weren't allowed to transport milk. Let's say that that you had a few customers in town, and you wanted to drop off a few gallons here or there. you're not allowed to do that because you're not allowed to transport, that milk and raw milk. And but now with this one, it does allow us to transport, and it allows us to advertise that we have it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I thought the the allowable was incidental sales was 100 gallons a month of raw milk. I thought that's what the provision was on that rate. I mean,
Yeah, I want to now Garden Kitchen with Tracy says we have cows that people buy into cow shares. Yes, I've heard about that, Tracy.
Right.
And I think that might be legal in Oklahoma. I'm not 100% sure.
Right.
But I think that it is. And of course, she's talking about in Ohio. And then Dwayne here with Red Feather Farm says, the Able Commission does not want to renew my and other license for producing herbal tinctures. All of a sudden, the new attorney wants to interpret the law different. That's not the first time I've heard that, Dwayne.
Right.
Not just from you, but from other people who said that sometimes it's the lawmakers or the people who are interpreting the law that makes the difference, right? And
I'm going to back up to the first part of what he had typed, which was he was told today that after May 5th, he may be committing a felony for making and selling tinctures. So,
it's insane.
Right.
One of the points that Dwayne had made earlier is that, you can sell it over the counter in cough syrup, and it has alcohol in it, but he cannot sell a tincture.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Which is crazy,
Yeah, it is.
And now Tracy's got some stuff going on. So just starting cottage sales, legal in Ohio. Small shop taking me on for my buttermilk biscuits. And she follows up with, you must know labeling.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
And that's something that's a part of this SB 939 is the labeling requirements. The online, taking classes, being online or in person, is less than an 8-hour class for the food handlers permit or whatever, that type of thing. So you understand safe food handling procedures and that type of thing. And there's some other things, involved in it that are simple, things that allow us those opportunities. It's meeting in the middle. It's a balanced approach to that, okay, do this and do this, so, and labeling requirements, that it's not made, it's in an uninspected facility and, those types of things, so that people are aware. I know there's some other stuff with, if in a retail location, there has to be signs up stating this, and those items, if this passes, those items will have to be separate from pasteurized items. They have to be in separate locations so that people know that they're going into an area where these things are not an inspected facility. It's a cottage industry, if you will, so that people are aware. And it's an informed end user. That is throughout this legislation, that wording of informed end user. That they are aware of the circumstances under which this product was made or bottled, that type of thing, and they can make a conscious choice as an adult to purchase this or not.
Right. Now, Dwayne, I think he corrected me, and he said
mouthwash.
That it was mouthwash that you can buy legally that has alcohol in it.
Right.
And children can have that. I don't see anything with that. So what gives, right?
And Dwayne and I have had that conversation over the phone a few times about that, and it's just, it's just ridiculous. And so there we go.
Right. And so, one of the things that we face in becoming more self-reliant and moving further to the right on the self-reliance scale, getting more self-reliant, is convenience is a real issue. Convenience
Absolutely.
and price, I think, is a big sticking point for a lot of people. And if it could be made to where it is legal for a farmer to transport this, then you could take it to, for example, a farm hub or a CSA, and that it would make it convenient for people. And I don't think it would be that difficult to learn how to transport milk safely.
Right.
And to label it properly. It's just not that big of an ask, for us, and it's not a big ask for them to to work with us to try to come to some kind of a balance.
Well, I know
And
I know when we were talking with with Brian and Ginger, and they were talking about she was making a statement that she has I guess with their kids, somebody that she meets, they have the raw milk, they both go to the same place every day to pick up their kids or something like that, something to do with kids. They're there,
yeah,
but she can't bring it to her, and so
Yeah.
she has to drive all those miles out to the farm. Well, that will eliminate that, which is going to increase sales for, for them, and also, it's going to make a convenience factor for that person, so they're more likely to buy that kind of thing. That's why the farm hubs and the farm stores and the or farmers direct stores, which are basically farm hubs, are
Right.
so vital and so important.
I think so. I want to go over here and hit this topic from Haven Lopez.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She says we can reach so many people who have health needs with this bill, especially with delivery becoming available. Now, the reason that yes, that's absolutely right, Haven, and thank you for bringing that up. But we have a friend, right? Dulce de Donkey, right? And can you tell the story? Right. Can you tell a little bit about the story
Okay.
of them?
Dulce de Donkey. Some of you may have met them, and certainly I know we've done an interview before, and we're going to try to do some more in the future. But Walt and Sandra Trawick, they own Oklahoma Donkey Dairy. Now, their product line is Dulce de Donkey, which is, soap, skincare products, and everything that is made from donkey's milk out of the American Mammoth donkey. And believe me, if you're right now, you're scratching your head. Believe me, so did I the first time. But they, and it's measured in ounces, but they're affected by this bill right now as well because they can no longer advertise. And it all has to be picked up from the farm. Now, they have found a circumvention, which is that they can dehydrate it and it becomes powdered form, and they can move it that way. So they have found a workaround, but, it's not the same as being able to sell it. But, and advertise especially. Now, the thing is, you say, why donkey milk? And, by the way, they're the only donkey dairy in the United States. All other donkey milk that people get is imported from outside the country. But their daughter, when she was very young, had a neurological situation called PANDAS, which is pediatric acute neurological. Anyway, basically her brain had a malfunction and thought that something was happening that wasn't. And anyway, they went to the doctors. They went through all this testing. They went through everything, and they identified what it was. But the only way that the only treatment was this antibiotic or this medication until she was 18 or 19 years old. Well, you would have had to have been a multimillionaire to have afforded this medicine, and insurance would cover all these different factors. Well, nobody could figure things out. She started researching, came across these different ideas, went to the doctors, and the doctor basically had no idea. She said, well, if this is the best guess you've got, I can do on my own. And so she found, and they gave her donkey's milk. Somebody had told them, she read it somewhere, whatever. They tried it, and almost immediately their daughter began to talk again, began to have it. The symptoms went away, but it required an ongoing process with this. And it's something that apparently, as they mature and become adults, clears away. But anyway, they did what any mom or any dad would do. They went out and found an alternative means. And and they help so many people this way. And they bring doctors out to they have a donkey, it's Hee Haw Health Days, but they have a big fair every fall on their place. People come in, they do medical stuff. They're advocates for these pediatric illnesses and the effect that these alternatives are having. And donkey's milk has that particular effect for pandas.
Right.
Well,
now
they can't advertise this. They can't advertise their milk in the state of Oklahoma.
Can't sell it online.
They can't transport it. They can't sell it, legal. There's all these different laws that says they can't do this unless they went through all this stuff and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars at the minimum to get their facilities to meet all these requirements, and when, in all honesty, they're just trying to help. They sell the soap and the skincare products and all the other things to fund, because one of these donkeys costs about $4,000 to $5,000. So, I mean, they're very expensive. And of course they breed, they sell, so that helps fund. But I mean, this is just a couple that was looking to try to help their daughter, medical condition.
And they found some help in a product that they can't sell.
Well, right. You can go to the farm and buy it.
Yes.
But you can't, do those things.
So now they tried to go to the legislatures and try to get things done, but they were by themselves.
Right.
And they could not get these things passed. Now, we have an opportunity here at least to move the needle by just a little bit.
Right. They when the current writing of the bill was going before the Senate and the House and to the governor's office and all this other stuff, the current set of laws, they were up there fighting against it because for the one simple thing, they were already used to people having to come to the farm. That was just already something they were having to. They've been dealing with that since the beginning, but they were no longer able, under this new restriction, they were no longer able to advertise. And that was the big thing. And they went up and they went up to the Capitol because they don't live that far from the Capitol. They went up there and they were on the steps and they were meeting with people. But like he said, they were by themselves. And, now we have a bigger voice. Now we have more people there. We have more people on the, that's getting on the train. And that's, so that's where us as a community can have such an impact now at this time, because it goes far beyond just our convenience of being able to go buy raw milk at the farmer's market.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And I just want to double down on the fact that this homesteading movement or homesteading tsunami that has been stated by Joel Salatin is growing. And I see it out there, and we've made a lot of friends in the homestead community. So, it kind of opened my eyes and said, we have a voice. If we choose to use it, we have a voice to talk about this and to talk to, our officials, our senators, our representatives and that sort of thing. And to let them know we're out here and that we are a voting block. Right. We really are a voting block out here.
Right. I'm going to put this up real quick, bro, and answer it. It was who put the bill together. The senator that introduced it was Senator Gann, I believe was his name. That was the one that actually put the bill on from the Senate bill. Now there is a House bill that's over in the House that went over there, and it is not as inclusive. The language in it to me is not as good. It's great for attempt, but it's just not as good. But anyway, now Brian DeShazo with Oakey Farm and Hatchery, him and his wife Ginger, and a little bit of consultation with us and some others, but worked together to craft the language of the bill to be able to include these things that we've talked about. It was a pretty long meeting session, coming up with ideas, coming up with things that we thought were important to the community that would help help everybody in the community. Senator Avery Fricks sponsored it. Thank you, Mr. P. That's so Senator Fricks, I know, and some others have, of course, gotten on board with it. But it is currently there was meetings, like Keith said yesterday, and we're waiting to get an update on how those meetings went. So it's kind of like in committee, basically, right now. But that's who put the bill together as far as that. So the fact that there was voices of homesteaders, there was voices of people who consume raw milk or want to consume, and want to be able to get this, and our farmers and are part of this community, is a big boon. That's a big, huge factor that we actually get to have the voice, a little more common sense and a little more beneficial to the overall community.
I do want to, first I want to just put this up here from Dwayne.
Mhm.
He said he does have a license to transport frozen meat now. And then he followed that up and said,
Why not?
why not milk?
Good
Right.
question.
I mean, I don't know, but that's a very good question.
Right.
And let's see. I've got something else over here. You know what? Before I do that, though, I want to go ahead and continue with this bill and some
Okay.
of the things that are provisions that are in it. And it
Okay.
increases the allowable volume of raw milk sales from 100 gallons a month to 500 gallons a month if they pass it.
Right.
So there again, now a farmer could actually begin to make a business out of selling raw milk.
Well, instead of insulin.
And let me just say this: if they were able to increase that, there are consumers out there who are looking for it that simply have a hard time finding it. And if you do find it, it is limited to what the farmer's allowed to sell.
Right.
So what do you have to do there? Do you have to get in a waiting line,
Right.
to have it? And with this movement, the benefits of raw milk are becoming increasingly known.
Right.
And so what you got over there, bro?
Well, I was going to say there's so much stigma around it. It's got 100 years of stigma being attached to it from the industry, from the government, from other people about raw milk and the potential dangers that, so it's overcoming that. And, of course, special interest, that certain people may have that are just against it or whatever. So that's important. Tracy asked this question. I know it goes up for a vote. Tracy, what's going to happen with this is it'll go through the Senate committee. If the Senate committee recommends it, it'll go to the floor of the Senate for a vote. If it passes that, it'll go over to the House, go through the same process. And if it passes both chambers, then it should go, if I understand it correctly, the way it's supposed to, then it'll go to the governor to be signed or vetoed. Very much like the federal legislature or anything like that.
Right.
So no, as far as going up for a vote of the people, no. As far as like not on a ballot vote, that type of thing, no. This is all, inside the legislature and the state government.
Yeah.
And anyway, so that's, we've got, there's a lot to overcome, a lot of misinformation, I would even say, to overcome around, original milk,
I just want to acknowledge Dakota over there a little bit from Pecan Homestead. And I'm not going to word it the way he did for the sake of our audience. Now, they may not care, but, just being a little cautious here. But basically what I hear him saying is it's better to get forgiveness than permission. But that's not the way he said it.
No. And, hey, just want to give a shout out to Levi, the wannabe mountain man. He's saying howdy. So welcome in, Levi. And,
welcome in, Levi. Glad to have you on board here.
Exactly. And there's a lot of things out there, Dakota, that, and I'm, you're right. It's not the biggest industry in the world. I'm just going to go ahead and put it up there. I'm going to share it so everybody can see this.
Sure.
Not like they're paying tens of thousands of dollars for donut milk. And if it doesn't work, like I say, it's, there may be cancer doctors. And I get what you're saying. I get what you're trying to go out there, Dakota, that, it's not a huge market. It's not a big, thing. And I don't disagree. But my fight for them, one, knowing their story and talking to them, but then also my fight for them is just the fact that it matters. It matters to those kids. It matters to those families that are struggling, and that's the solution, or a potential solution. But you're right. The government, the big wigs are not going to get behind that. They're not going to care about that because of. Again, as you said, it doesn't pay tens of thousands of dollars. It's not a patented medication that they can sell or push, and you're right. And that's why it doesn't get attention. That's why it doesn't get, the support from people that it would otherwise. And so, this just opens a door for them or reopens a door for them, and so,
Yeah. Haven, I'm just going to answer your question there just real quickly. We're about to get into that, how we can help make this possible. Um, and, um, I think it simply comes down to letting your voices be heard to your representatives, because I don't think there's a lot of people out there. First of all, there's a lot of people that just don't know about it, don't care about it. It's not their issue. But, but this community that we have does care about health, does care about homesteading, and the issues that goes around with nutrient dense foods, and changing our diets, and finding alternatives to our medical system that might just work better, because that's the way God made it for us. So the things that we can do right now is to reach out, reference that bill to your senator. Now, Dakota, can you look up the Oklahoma Senate, the OK Senators? I was thinking maybe I had put that somewhere.
Right.
I'm not really sure.
Where to find it? I know you sent it to me the other day. But
yeah, there was a link. There's a link I thought I had up here, but I think it's not in here right now. So anyway, if you could look up the OK Senators and provide a link over there for people to click on, so it can take them straight to it. And then also, if you can find the actual bill, the SB 939 bill, so that they can read it for themselves. Now we're hitting the high spots of it,
Right.
to simplify this. And so, yeah. And let's see. And Dakota says he's going to share screen. So go ahead and share screen.
While he's doing that, I'll take a minute to welcome in Monty and Michelle from Red Dirt Rooster Road, and Jack.
Hello, Monty and Michelle.
From Dyer Family Farm. So
okay, so here is SB 939, the Senate bill itself. Okay, where I had went to this before, this one is not the one that summarizes properly the actual bill. Let's see. Let me see if I can look it up here. SB 393, Oklahoma, PDF. No, 939. I keep getting that backwards. And let's see here. We're looking at a PDF here. See if I can locate that real quick or not. Okay. Right here it is. And I will try to share screen so that you can see the bill. Or I can also do this. I will copy that link and put that in the chat over there. And there you go. That should take you directly to the bill as it is currently written. And then the senators, I'm going to give you a link to the senators.
Anyway, it's but like I said, right now it's in committee, so it's been read, it's authored by Fricks, and like I said, it has been referred to the Agriculture and Wildlife Committee. That was on February 4th. It is currently still there. So let's see.
Okay, and here is also the link to your senator, so you can reach out to your senator and let them know how you feel about the bill. And like I say, there's enough of us, homesteaders in Oklahoma. There's a lot of us out there, and if we agree with this bill, this is a good way to follow those links and find your senator and email. Let them know how you feel.
And Chris Reeves. It won't show it all up there, so I'll go ahead and read. It says if the bill passes in the House and the bill passes in the Senate, In other words, these two separate bills, the House and Senate bill, be reconciled and pass through both chambers. So if the House bill remains, it could weaken this bill. So you need to call your House rep and let them know that you want the Senate bill and to kill the House bill. So,
okay, Chris, thank you for that
thank you
information.
for that. Very good information.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, anyway.
Well, this is a this is a good question, and I think it's on a lot of people's minds. My question is, how many of those senators have connections or financial interest in bigger dairy corporations? It's like those U.S. senators who vote based off their biggest donors. We don't know. I don't have any factual information to back it up. But what I can say is, I think it's pretty well known that that special interest groups do hold sway over some elected officials. I mean, that's putting it mildly, right?
According to Sandra, when they this last edition, last year that went into effect. Was pushed was pushed from the Oklahoma dairy, basically producers, the big shots, if you will. So I mean, they are certainly involved. But listen, it's John Moody talked about this with us down at Rogue Food Conference, and it's about I know it. I'm getting
careful, man.
Hey, listen, I done jumped off of it this morning, so I'm not even going to be afraid now.
Okay,
my name's already on all the lists. It's okay. Anyway, no, he talked about legislative pressure. When there's a large enough group, of people and a large enough group of constituents, it has more effect. Now, the federal senator, the federal government, those people that are so far away and the votes and everything, and it's almost, but on a state level, local level, a group doesn't have to be as big to affect things, and the more people get behind this in these different districts, these different senatorial districts around the state of Oklahoma, the more people are contacted, the more they're basically break their server. Send them so many emails it breaks the server. Leave messages, whatever, so that it gets the attention. They realize there's legislative pressure. And, we've been to Okie Homestead Expo. We've been to Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous. We're out here on this, these social media platforms. The homestead community, inside the state of Oklahoma alone is huge. There's a lot of voice, there's a lot of pressure that can be put to apply by simply, bringing that legislative pressure. And I know that it's, listen, they can blow us off. I get that. But election time comes around at the end of the day. Election time comes around. And I don't know if you've ever paid attention to local and the state level elections, but they're decided by very, very small margins. Yeah. We're not talking about tens of thousands. We're not like a presidential election or these things, or these, where it's a massive amount of votes. It's a very small margin in these local and state elections. So we can have that impact. We can have that influence, and we can have that leveraging power as a group of people. But we have to be a group of people. We have to be, standing together on that. So,
right. I just kind of want to go over and tell you, what's at stake here. What the impact of this could be, and greater independence for homesteaders.
Right.
Think about that. New income opportunities for small producers. How many homesteaders out there right now are looking for ways to supplement their income off of their farm? Farming is not cheap. And then strengthened local food systems. And I want to stop right there just a minute on the strengthened local food systems.
Right.
We've been talking about the scale. And this is the self-reliance scale. I would also call it a food freedom scale. And on the left side of that scale is when you are dependent on big box stores and you source everything not locally, then that is the least amount of freedom, food freedom you have. And it's probably the more that you source over there, the less healthy you are as well. Right. The closer you are, or the further right you are on that scale, the more food freedom that you have. That means that you're sourcing a lot of your food on a local level within the community, and you are eating foods that's going to make you, I would say, more healthy, because you're getting into a more nutrient dense food. And at the end of the day, we're just trying to be healthy. And as Jenny says over in chat, one word is sovereignty. Yeah, our food sovereignty, because they want to make. I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but they are working on lab-grown meat for us right now. Right. Lab-grown meat. And they would like to see us going that way, because they just don't think that the way that we're going right now is sustainable, right? But they think if they grow it in a lab and feed it to us, that is sustainable. As a matter of fact, the big 4 meat processors, I think all of them, at least 2 of them that I know of, are actually retrofitting or building new buildings that is gearing up for these types of engineered foods.
Oh yeah,
that's not a joke.
They're in it. They're it's like the automotive manufacturers going with the electric vehicles, even though they're not 100% sure it's going to happen. They're hedging bets. They're losing a ton of money right now, but they're going down that road now. We'll see what happens with it.
Right,
Dwayne. You're hitting the nail on the head right there, Dwayne.
Yeah,
we need to become the special interest group, and it is time they listen to us.
It is.
And that's what it takes. Keith and I promise you, it's it. #Strong Together. We never set out that we were going to be activists, if you will, or be, pushing these things. But, at a time, it comes a time, and when you're around people, it becomes a time, that's what you've got to do. Sometimes you've got to put the voice out there. You've got to stand up. And, I will say, listen, and I'm going to take a short pause out of this, because Arkansas has a similar bill.
Yeah.
And that is HB 1048. It's a House bill to amend the law concerning the incidental sale of goat milk, sheep milk, and they say whole milk, which I like the way they put whole milk, because it's real milk, original milk, that has not been pasteurized, and to clarify, the incidental sale of raw milk is not limited to a sale on the farm. And what they're basically doing, because Arkansas already has 500-gallon limit. They already have pretty good stuff. But what they're wanting to be able to really do is that instance has to be able to sell off farm at a retail location, or at a farmer's market, or at a farm store. Now, it's already passed our House. It's currently sitting in our Senate, on the Senate floor for a vote. Now, I've already reached out to my senator in Arkansas via email to support it. And that's where it's at. It's been there for 3 days now. It's going to be there. It's been there Monday, Tuesday. It's going to be there tomorrow as well. So it's either being debated or it's being pushed down keeps getting pushed over a day. But the point is it's Arkansas's adjusting their bill to be able to sell off farm. That's their biggest deal there. And so, these are going on in different states, so it is something that's happening. I mean, and we've said it before on the show, for crying out loud, California allows raw milk sales. If they can get it right, surely we can figure it out down here. I mean, what's the deal, right?
Are you kidding me?
No.
Yeah, I know you're not kidding me, but are you kidding me?
Right. I mean,
California got it right.
I mean, that's just that one thing. But I mean, it is so important that, and it does open the door for so many opportunities for homesteaders. And, honestly, people like David and Holly Lacey with Glory Hills Homestead, who have, a dairy cow, who do these things. They make these products and stuff, these are friends of ours. These are people in our community. These are people that we, interact with. And, that's income for them, 100 years ago, all this stuff that we're talking about was just everyday living, So it was how things were. There wasn't no, raw milk or this milk, that milk, whatever. And no, food was food. It was real.
Thank you.
And so what are we doing here? And but we've traded for convenience, and I'm guilty. Oh man, am I guilty of it? So it's part of our work in that. And so I don't know, bro,
Right.
Where are we headed next?
Well, I just wanted to remind everybody, again, that this is an open chat event, and you can be the star of the show by a single comment.
And we've had some.
So feel free, and we've had some out there, and I want to thank everybody for that. But I especially want to remind people that I have pinned both of those links up in chat to look for those. And it's not too late tonight. And if you feel strongly about it, as we do, please go up there and click on those links and follow them over there. Read the bill for yourself. Know whether or not you agree with it, and then take some action on that. And reach out to your senators. That's where it is. Find them and talk to them. I've already done the same thing. We're following up on it, and I'm trying to keep up closely with Brian DeShazo on the movement. And I do want to take what Chris Reeves said earlier and see what we can do to not allow that weaker bill to water down this good bill as it is written. Will it stay in this form? I don't know. I hope it does, because I think it is a good balance between their concerns, or as food safety concerns, and our sovereignty or our food freedom. So it's not that we're not willing to be reasonable. We are.
Well, I felt the bill had, reasonable language and reasonable concessions on both sides.
Right.
I think that's, and that was a large part of the discussion, with Brian and with them about this was, understanding, one of the questions we ask, what are you willing to allow? What are you willing to concede, via inspectors or via training or via having to put information out about your process or that type of thing? What are you willing to do to be able to have that, that ability to sell off farm, that ability to do these things and have these increases and stuff? And so those were kind of, addressed, and some of those were met in the writing and the language. So, it's a little give and take,
Yeah.
But it's a huge step. And like I said, I've read both bills, and hands down, I take SB 939 all day long.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's that.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. And I just want to kind of recap, what this will do for consumers and producers of food on a local level. And that is, it's going to allow us to advertise it. It's going to allow us to transport it, and it's going to allow us to make more of it and sell it in the open market. And that's what we need. And we need to think seriously about moving right on the self-reliance scale, on the food freedom scale, to where, that we improve our health, our wealth, and everything else. So the future of homesteading in Oklahoma is in our hands right now, and together we can make a difference.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of where I want to leave it at. And bro, if we need to wrap it up in any way.
Well, I'm going to first, what's up, bro? What's up, the other brother?
No, wow.
Yeah. Our brother Scott's on. How you doing out there? Doesn't happen all the time, for certain.
No.
Listen,
Scott.
The biggest thing, thanks to everybody that's been in the chat tonight. I mean, that's been an active chat. So apparently, this is an issue that is near and dear to people's hearts. It matters to people, not just here in the state of Oklahoma, but all around the country, because plenty of the people that are here listening tonight are not in the state of Oklahoma. but they're supporters of the freedom of food choice and the freedom of being independent, and less government involvement in our daily lives. The libs, or those people that are living, tell us to get out of their bedroom. Well, get out of my pantry. Okay?
Yeah.
Get out of my refrigerator. Get out of my grocery bill. Get out of my grocery department. So let me choose the food that I want to eat. Let me make decisions and be responsible for that decision and the consequences of it.
Yeah.
I don't need a babysitter.
No.
I don't need a government watchdog telling me what I should or shouldn't do, or what I should or shouldn't eat or drink. So
yeah.
So yeah.
I just want to remind everybody that tomorrow morning on the Farm to Table Direct Show Morning Edition,
we'll be there live.
Be a part. We've got a pretty nice morning crew out there.
Yeah.
We enjoy seeing them every morning. A lot of them were in here with us tonight. And if you're not a part of the morning crew, go out and check us out. It happens 6 a.m. Monday through Friday on the Farm to Table Direct Show Morning Edition.
Yeah, we are on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble. So, hey, Donald and Lisa, glad to see you guys in. Join us tomorrow morning. We're going to continue to talk about the draining of the swamp up in D.C. with some observations about the swamp draining and some things that need to be fixed. And also probably going to piggyback up on egg prices and egg shortage, that type of thing, and kind of the price of groceries in relation to the price of everything else in the world, and kind of where we're at on that. But just some thoughts tomorrow. I don't know if I will rant the same way I did this morning, but if I get to talking about the Doge and the swamp and everything, and the Doge report, I will probably get to rant, just like Dakota said. Listen, Jack Dyer is up every morning, Dyer Family Farms, and it is coffee and is that what? Give us the title again, Jack. I'm sorry. Coffee and Scripture, Coffee and the Word. I don't know, Coffee and Prayer. It's Coffee and Prayer and Word with Jack on from Dyer Family Farm. But it's anyway, he's there at 4:20 a.m. every morning doing that live. So if you're up that early, jump on with Jack. He also does his Redneck Weather Report bright and early, and then I replay it on the morning show. But appreciate him doing that every morning. So anyway, shout out for our friend Jack. But,
and I think it's important that we answer this question, because people may say, well, okay, I can reach my senator, but what do I say?
Right.
Thank you for all the information, y'all. Could you give a quick example of what to say in an email if you have time? Yes, we always have time for you guys. Now what I did, I thought it was really important. Now, of course, be respectful at all times, but I felt that it was very important to say that we want them to support SB 939, that we thought that it strikes a good balance between safety and common sense rules and regulations. And we also stated that, we know that we have to do our part to be trained properly on certain things, and that's kind of where I went with it. If there's something else, bro, that you wanted to add into that,
because I got mine here.
There you go.
What I wrote was just, hello, Senator. Address the senator. My name is, and gave my name right. And I said, I'm a resident of your district. I'm writing to voice my support for HB 1048, which is the Arkansas bill.
The Arkansas bill.
Yeah. Right. So that is scheduled to be in the Senate chamber on Monday, February 10th, which is still there. I said, please support this legislation that will help many small businesses, farmers, homesteaders, and consumers. The freedom of choice for the informed end user needs to be protected. Thank you for your time and consideration. And so,
very good.
It's real short, sweet, to the point.
Right.
And so, it doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to be fancy writing. Just that, who you are, what district, to your senator, you're part of their district, and, you support this bill. You can put a little more information if you want to, but just that you support it and you ask them to support it, and so no need to be rude or mean or anything else. Anyway.
I just want to give this from Money Pit.
Mm-hmm.
Says he also has a Bible reading every morning at 3:30 a.m. called "Good Morning" with a Bible verse for your day, and I think that's an excellent thing to do.
There is Jack's right there. Daily Bible and Coffee with Jack. So and that's at 4:20 every morning. So you can get Donald and them at Money Pit at 3:30 a.m. and you can get Jack over at Daily Bible and Coffee with Jack at 4:20. But you can always watch the replays later. Never hurts to get some word in.
That's right. Sure. Yeah.
So.
And of course, again, I'll just shout out to the Farm to Table Direct Show Morning Edition, 6 a.m. Monday through Friday.
And that's right.
Now, bro, if it's okay with you,
sure.
I want to replay what I read earlier as our outro.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, for those who weren't in here early enough to catch it, because I thought it captured something really good there.
And are we gonna? Is this goodbye? And it's just going to go out with that? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
nobody ever wants to say goodbye.
Well, anyway, folks, listen. Thanks for being in the chat. As we, hashtag stronger together, prepare for the unexpected, keep it local. All those good things we say every episode and every show. We mean those. We look forward to hearing more from y'all, and we will certainly keep you up to date on this. And I will certainly try to give updates as I get them on the morning show. So we're going to go out with a replay of that story. And so those who may have missed it, you can grab it right now. And appreciate the love, support. Hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe. The only way that this message gets further and further is the community to share it. And share out what we do. It's not for us. It's for being able to get the word and get the message out to more and more people and to reach out beyond our own little circle. So thank you all again. Go out and be a blessing and have a blessed week. And I will see many of you tomorrow morning. All right.
Stay tuned for the story that happened at the beginning of this episode in case you missed it.
Amos Miller runs Miller's Organic Farm in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. No cell phone, no electricity, no modern conveniences. His farm is a snapshot of another time. A time when milk was raw, butter was churned by hand, and cows were called by name, not tagged with numbers. For Amos, farming is a spiritual practice. It's how he feeds his family. And as it turns out, a devoted group of 4,000 private members scattered across the country. These members aren't just customers, they're food purists. They seek out Amos's raw milk, grass-fed meats, and unprocessed products because they want food untouched by modern industrial processes. For them, Miller's Organic Farm represents something rare, food as it once was. I never advertise, Amos says. People just find me. For years, it worked. His farm operated as a private membership association, selling directly to people who knew what they were getting and believed in it wholeheartedly. No middlemen, no grocery stores, just Amos and his members. But that autonomy came at a price. Long before 2016 listeriosis outbreak, Amos Miller's farm had already caught the USDA's attention. In 2013, the U.S. Department of Agriculture's National Organic Program launched an investigation questioning the farm's use of the term organic without official certification. While the word organic might seem harmless, it's a tightly regulated label. If you use it without certification, you're violating federal law. By 2015, things escalated. The USDA's Food and Safety Inspection Service demanded access to inspect Miller's meat production practices, specifically focusing on his slaughtering process, which they argued didn't meet federal standards. Miller resisted. He believed that because he sold only to private members, the rules shouldn't apply to him. And then things got more serious. The USDA subpoenaed his customers' purchase records. Miller refused. He believed his members had a right to privacy. It was a dangerous standoff. Federal inspectors were circling, and the farm was under constant scrutiny. They want to turn small farms into big business, Amos said back then. In 2016, things reached a boiling point. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention linked 2 cases of listeriosis, a potentially deadly bacterial infection, to raw milk from Miller's Organic Farm. One of the patients, a 73-year-old woman from Florida, died. The CDC's whole genome sequencing showed that the Listeria monocytogenes found in Amos raw chocolate milk was closely related genetically to the strain that made these 2 people sick. For the USDA, this was clear evidence. Listeria is no joke, especially for the elderly, pregnant women, and people with compromised immune systems. The agency stepped in quickly, issuing an injunction and ordering Amos to stop selling raw dairy products until he complied with federal food safety regulations. But Amos didn't see it that way. To him, the evidence was thin. Closely related genetically didn't mean exact match. And the woman who died? She was undergoing intensive chemotherapy for late-stage cancer. Could the listeria have come from another source? Possibly. But once the USDA connects the dots, it's hard to argue your way out of it. Over the next few years, the legal battle grew more intense. In 2019, Amos was found in contempt of court for continuing to sell raw milk products without following federal food safety rules. He was hit with a $250,000 fine, which only added fuel to his argument that small farmers like him being targeted unfairly. Amos's case became a rallying cry for the food freedom movement. Supporters flooded social media with stories about government overstepping its bounds. Fundraisers popped up to help him cover his legal costs. And at the heart of it all was one question. Is this about food safety or is it about control? What's really at stake? Let's be clear. Public health matters. The USDA's job is to protect consumers from dangerous pathogens. No one wants another outbreak of foodborne illness, but the question isn't whether safety matters, which it does. The question is how far we go in regulating small, independent producers. Amos's supporters argue that consumers should have the right to make their own decisions. After all, we're allowed to buy cigarettes, alcohol, and sugary processed foods, all things that carry known risks. Why can't we buy raw milk from a farmer we trust? The food freedom movement believes this is bigger than Amos Miller. It's about the future of local food, small farming, and personal choice. If the small farmers are regulated out of existence, what does that mean for the future of food? For now, Amos' future is uncertain. The USDA is still watching, still enforcing. The legal battle continues. But this case is about more than just one farm in Lancaster County. It's a test case for the balance between public health and personal freedom, between safety and sovereignty. People should have the right to decide what they eat. Amos says, I just want to keep farming the way we've always done it. The courts may have the final say, but the debate isn't going away anytime soon. Not for Amos, not for his customers, and not for anyone who believes in the right to choose where their food comes from. Amos' story asks us to think about the kind of food system we want. It's not a question of black and white. It's a question of balance. At what point does regulation protect us? And at what point does it start chipping away at our freedom?
No humans were harmed in the production of this podcast.